The rain pounded the earth like 1,000 angry fists, each drop a reminder of the storm chasing Lila through the night. Her bare feet slapped against the muddy road, her soaked clothes clinging to her trembling frame, her breath ragged from hours of running. She was a fugitive, a shadow in the dark, fleeing a past that wanted to chain her to a life of fear. At 19, Lila had escaped her abusive uncle's home, a place where bruises bloomed like flowers and hope had long since withered. Now, with nothing but a tattered backpack and a desperate prayer, she stumbled through the rural outskirts of a small American town, the kind of place where secrets hid behind picket fences and gossip spread faster than wildfire. Exhaustion clawed at her legs, and the cold knotted her bones. Headlights flashed in the distance, her uncle's truck, she was sure of it. Panic surged, and she veered off the road, plunging into a thicket of trees. Branches scratched her arms, but she pressed on until she spotted a faint glow ahead, a small, weathered farmhouse, its porch light a beacon in the storm. With no other choice, Lila sprinted toward it, her heart pounding as she hammered on the door. "Please. Help me," she cried, her voice raw, barely audible over the howling wind. The door creaked open, and a man stood there, tall, broad-shouldered, with dark hair and wary green eyes. He looked to be in his late 20s, his flannel shirt rumpled, a faint stubble shadowing his jaw. "Who are you?" "What's wrong?" he asked, his tone cautious but not unkind. Lila's knees buckled, and she clutched the doorframe, gasping, "They're after me. I can't go back. Please, just for tonight, let me hide." The man hesitated, glancing past her into the stormy night, then stepped aside. "Come in. You're safe here." His name was Ethan, and in that moment, Lila felt a flicker of hope, fragile as a candle in the wind inside. The farmhouse was warm, the scent of pine and coffee lingering in the air. Ethan handed her a blanket and a mug of tea, his movements gentle but guarded. "I'm not in the habit of taking in strangers," he said, sitting across from her at a worn wooden table. "But you look like you've been through hell. What's your story?" Lila's hands trembled around the mug as she spilled her truth, her uncle's cruelty, the beatings that left scars on her back, the night she'd finally slipped away with nothing but a few dollars and a dream of freedom. Ethan listened, his jaw tightening, his eyes softening with something like empathy. He'd known loss too, his parents gone in a car accident, leaving him this farm and a quiet, solitary life. "You can stay the night," he said finally. "We'll figure it out tomorrow." Lila nodded, gratitude flooding her chest. She curled up on the couch, the blanket a shield against the cold and the fear. But sleep was fleeting. At dawn, a sharp knock shattered the silence. Ethan opened the door to find a cluster of townsfolk, stern faces led by Reverend Polk, a wiry man with a Bible clutched like a weapon. Behind him loomed Lila's uncle, his eyes glinting with malice. "That girl's a runaway," her uncle spat, pointing at Lila, who shrank back. "She's in my care, and she's disgraced us all, hiding in a man's house overnight." Reverend Polk stepped forward, his voice booming. "This is a God-fearing town. A young woman, unchaperoned, spending the night with a man? It's a sin, a scandal. Ethan, you sheltered her, but now you must marry her by sundown, or we'll have no choice but to accuse her of immorality and turn her over to her kin." Lila's heart sank, her breath catching in her throat. Marry a stranger or be dragged back to a life of pain? The choice was no choice at all. Ethan's face paled, his fists clenching. "This is absurd," he snapped. "She needed help, not a scandal." The crowd murmured, eyes narrowing with judgment. Lila's uncle sneered, "You heard the Reverend. Marry her, or she's mine again." Lila's eyes met Ethan's, pleading, terrified. She saw the conflict in his gaze, anger, compassion, and something deeper, a quiet resolve. "Give us time to talk," Ethan said, shutting the door on the crowd. Alone, he turned to Lila. "I won't force you into anything. But if I don't do this, they'll hand you back to him. I can't let that happen." Lila's voice shook. "You'd marry me? You don't even know me." Ethan ran a hand through his hair, exhaling. "I know enough. You're brave, and you deserve a chance. We can make this work on your terms." The first challenge was trust. Lila's heart was a fortress, battered by years of betrayal. Could she believe in Ethan, a man she'd known for mere hours? She studied him, his steady hands, the sincerity in his eyes, and nodded, a fragile agreement born of necessity. The second challenge was the town itself. Whispers followed them as they faced the Reverend again, agreeing to a simple ceremony to appease the crowd. By sundown, in a small chapel, Lila wore a borrowed dress, and Ethan stood beside her, his voice steady as he said, "I do." But the weight of the vows pressed on them both, two strangers bound by circumstance, not love. The days that followed were a battlefield of emotions. Lila wrestled with fear, waking from nightmares of her uncle's fists, flinching when Ethan moved too quickly. He was patient, giving her space, sleeping in the guest room, offering quiet kindness, chopping wood, cooking supper, asking about her dreams. But her uncle wasn't done. He lingered in town, spreading lies, claiming Ethan had stolen her, rallying a few to demand she be returned. The third challenge struck one evening when a brick crashed through the farmhouse window, a note tied to it, "Give her back, or pay." Ethan shielded Lila, his voice firm. "You're not going anywhere you don't want to." They faced the threat together. Ethan went to the sheriff, a gruff but fair man, with Lila's story and the scars on her back as proof. The law stepped in, and her uncle was arrested, charged with abuse after years of evading justice. But the town's judgment lingered, a fourth challenge. Neighbors shunned them, calling Lila a troublemaker, Ethan a fool. One night, Lila broke, tears streaming as she whispered, "I've ruined your life." Ethan knelt before her, his voice soft. "You didn't ruin anything. You gave me a reason to fight for something bigger than this farm." Time began to heal. Lila found strength in small victories, planting a garden, laughing at Ethan's terrible jokes, feeling safe for the first time. Ethan, too, changed, his quiet life blooming with purpose. Trust grew, tentative but real, a bridge between them. One evening, months later, they sat on the porch, the storm long gone, stars bright above. "I never thought I'd feel free," Lila said, her hand brushing his. Ethan smiled, his eyes warm. "We built this together. You're not just a girl on the run anymore. You're home." Their marriage, born of desperation, became a choice. They faced fear, judgment, and danger, but emerged stronger, a team forged in fire. Lila's past no longer defined her, Ethan's solitude no longer confined him. Their story, whispered in town as a tale of scandal, became a testament to courage, proof that shelter in a storm could lead to a love unforced, a life reclaimed. And as they looked to the future, they knew, hope could rise from the darkest nights, a light to guide anyone brave enough to run toward it.